I've already made individual videos talking about what Sony should be doing in order to actually make quality films along with making good money. I know that maybe the Venom movies make money and maybe they get lucky once in a while, but for the most part, their movies are bombing and they're getting just critically destroyed by fans and critics alike.
No, wait!
I decided to streamline this and make one video of how we can save the Sony Spider-Verse. I talk about this all the time because I care. It's not because I want to be negative. It's not because I want to shit on the Sony films. I want these Sony films to be good. God damn it. Let's start with the obvious. Leave the animated Spider-Verse alone. Those films are great. Those films don't need to be touched, don't need to be messed with. Clearly, the people who are making the animated Spider-Verse movies knows what they're doing, and if they want to make 5, 6, 7 more of those films, by God, let them. First, the live-action ones, I'm talking about the Morbiuses and the Venoms and the Kraven the Hunters and whatever the hell else that they had planned, end it. And whatever plans you plan on doing or that you wanted to do, or more spin-offs and more sequels, stop now. Even Warner Brothers and DC ended the DCEU, which I know wasn't the easiest decision given how many fans they pissed off. Luckily, the current Sony movies don't have a rabid fan base like that. Now, the first movie that they should greenlight right off the bat, easy peasy, a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4. This is a no-brainer. This is something that I think fans, diehard fans of the original Sam Raimi movies have been waiting for since, 15 years ago when we were supposed to get a Spider-Man 4 and then they decided to reboot instead. This is something that even Tobey has expressed interest in. Sam Raimi has said that he'd be down to do another installment, and I think it needs to be done with Sam Raimi's direction. That's right off the bat. I think story-wise, you can go in a couple different directions. We can spin off from what they did in Spider-Man No Way Home, and you can have a weird changing of the universe type story beat where Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe, is alive and cured. And what does that mean and do for his character, especially if he goes back and he has to live with the fact that his son has died and he can't change that. I think the main crux of this story, just to kind of go outside the box and do something different, is Superior Spider-Man. It's my excuse to also work in Alfred Molina, who they also cured and saved his life. But this story, I'm sure not everybody loves it. I'm sure it's divided amongst the comic book fans. But I think if you take the initial idea, which is interesting, right, to have Tobey be able to act different as a Doc Ock version of Peter Parker, and some of his most memeable, iconic stuff, Bully Maguire, right? You can almost play with that a little bit by having him be a smartass and having him be kind of a dick. And the post-credit scene, we can end a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey, where Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane is pregnant. What a great way to cliffhanger on that. Next project is also obvious, in my opinion. Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 3. If you had asked me like 6 years ago would I want to see this, I would have said no, because I am not fond of the Amazing Spider-Man films. I love Garfield as an actor, and I think he's one of the best parts of those movies. But just overall, the universe, the connective threads that they've tried to tell in the two movies, the backstory of his parents, I just didn't care about really much of any of that, and the villains I thought were lacking. But given how great he was in No Way Home, given that he was one of the things that people talked about the most coming out of that movie, I think you should take advantage of that. I think that film, No Way Home, reigniting Garfield's own, interests in maybe playing Spider-Man once again, him being more open to it, take advantage of that, Sony, take advantage of that goodwill and build off of that, make him a producer so that he feels collaborative on the creative aspects to it. I think continuing on from what little was good from the previous films, like, for example, Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, we can do a romance plot with them since the Peter Parker Garfield character, he has lost his Gwen. He's lost his love. And so the idea of dating somebody new, different, but also dangerous is quite alluring. And also, you don't have to do this, but I would think about maybe introducing a young Miles Morales, like a live action Miles Morales, because if you're going to do a live action Miles Morales, which you know they're going to do at some point, even though Tom Holland age-wise is probably age-appropriate, I think Andrew Garfield age-wise makes the most sense to be a potential mentor for a young Miles Morales. And a post-credit potential scene for this is you would have probably Madam Web show up. Not Dakota Johnson's Madam Web. No, I'd rather just forget that ever took place. I don't know. Let's just have Helen Mirren play Madam Web. That just makes all the sense in the world. And she can show up and warn Garfield's Peter that something sinister is coming. Now, you shouldn't go too much longer, though, without doing a Tom Holland Spider-Man 4. So that should probably be the next project, because there are people that love Tom Holland Spider-Man. I am one of them. There are some people who think his is the best, which I can go back and forth on depending on the day, right? So you should do it. He's young enough to where he's probably going to be the future of the series, the franchise. You should probably, with her star power, bring back Zendaya as MJ and have a story reunion of the two of the characters falling back in love. And I know the Solo movie is made. It's going to come out. It's going to happen, even though I continue to roll my eyes whenever I see trailers and promotions for it. But I would rather still, even now, have Kraven the Hunter be the villain of a Tom Holland Spider-Man 4. And then the post-credit scene of this film should be Tobey and Andrew showing up due to Madam Web magic, whatever, right? To ask Tom Holland's Peter for help. That's where we lead to the movie that Sony has been wanting to make for God knows how long, over 10 years at this point. Sinister Six, the movie. Do it because you know they want to do it, and so by this point we can make the best of it and try to make the best version of this film as possible. And who knows, it might actually end up being good. Now, I don't want to spend too much dwelling on what has come beforehand, but because it's there, because it exists, I guess we should continue on with the Michael Keaton Vulture. He was great in Homecoming, but my God, the other stuff that they did with him in Morbius, yikes. Sadly, Jared Leto as Morbius, I guess you can bring that character back just to be a part of this group and to kind of maybe kill him off or do whatever with him. Dane DeHaan's Goblin, not great in Amazing 2, but bringing him back here just to have a different version of Goblin. And honestly, as far-fetched as it is that, like, no, that was terrible, why bring that back? Look at how well they did with Jamie Foxx's Electro, to bring him back and to redesign him and re-characterize him to be more interesting, to be cooler, to just make him work. I think you have the potential to do that with some of these terrible Sony villains. Hydro Man has not been in a movie other than the fake version of him in Far From Home, so why not make that an actual character? Dylan Baker's Lizard, I think, is a potentially, just don't waste that. You know, us fans of those other movies have been waiting and waiting for that character to turn to the Lizard, and also design-wise, give that Lizard a snout. And maybe to round off the group, you can go a whole bunch of ways, but why not just bring in Bruce Campbell to play Mysterio? He would be goofy. He might be the relief of the group, but I just think that's a opportunity just waiting to be had. Also, in the Sinister Six movie, why not have the Miles Morales that was introduced in the Andrew Garfield movie, have him get bit by a spider in this film? And by the third act, you have four, count it, four Spider-Mens going up against these 6 villains. And don't advertise that, goddammit. Don't put it in the trailer. Have it be a complete surprise that Miles Morales will suit up and become Spider-Man and help the heroes by the end. Now, I know that might sound a bit rushed, but I think that there is a way to do it to get that cool payoff of having those 4 Spider-Mans in one movie. You have to up what you did in No Way Home, right? But he's still new. He's still a rookie. So after this film, you spin off into a live-action Miles Morales solo movie, but you have Andrew Garfield there as well to be his mentor, to help him, to teach him, to guide him, so that you get the payoff and the arc and the growth of Miles going forward. For shits and giggles, and it's just, at this point, if you want to do various different Spider-Verse type films, bring Emma Stone back and do a Spider-Gwen live action movie. You can say that she's from a different universe, just like how they explain her in the animated movies. But because it's Emma Stone, to get her to play a superhero, and also you can have Andrew Garfield a part of that. I mean, I don't know if that would be awkward for the two of them, but it'd be cool to have Andrew Garfield be the anchor and to be the side character in a lot of these projects to sort of carry these films going forward. Last but not least, I also would love to see a Spider-Girl movie. I don't know if it would ever happen, but Peter and MJ's daughter, I'm talking about Tobey and Kirsten, her being pregnant at the end of that post-credit, right? Well, time has passed and she's now had the baby. We got a preview in the animated Spider-Verse of what that daughter would be like with powers. She's born with powers. So make a film where she's maybe a teenager, but to have the idea of Tobey and Kirsten's characters being parents now, they're parents of a superhero of themselves, like that would be awesome. Just keep these actors around and keep these franchises going forward into the next generation. I think that's the only way to make this thrive. That's the only way to make this work. Hire me, Sony. I promise I'm cheap. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these ideas for the Sonyverse? Do you think they work? Do you think they're better than what they're doing currently right now? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.